to join the campaign. No? Ang sad thing about the Filipino comfort women, unlike their South Korean counterparts, no, medyo kahit papano nasuportahan ng kanilang gobyerno yung pangangailangan, yung mga basic needs, at least yung medical needs, no, ng mga comfort women nila doon. Pero dito wala talaga eh. While several bills had already been filed in Philippine Congress in the past 25 years, I think, pero wala talagang naging priority, hindi na prioritize yan ng gobyerno to provide the medical care at least that they needed. No? Noong panahon na tinayo yung Asian Women's Fund, there was supposed to be a 5-year medical assistance program. Pero parang ang naging method was to, parang ano bang tawag doon? Parang staggered. Hindi isang comprehensive package. Eventually, parang wala rin masyadong naging pakinabang na nakuha yung ating mga comfort women because it was quite a paltry, package. And today, they survive on the kindness and charity of private groups and individuals, both here in the Philippines, like kagaya ng grupo nila Miss Angsi, and several other groups from other countries who, donate whatever they can to help the lolas survive. No? So, yun. The second question, I think about it, I'm not very familiar with it, no? Kasi, but I don't know whether there's any movement at all on that filing.
Vaccination status.
Vaccinated kayo pareho, no? She has refused to be vaccinated, but si Lola yata may booster na rin. Si Lola Estelita. Iba-iba rin sila eh. May mga ilan na vaccinated, may ilan na ayaw talaga. So, ang difficult naman to, compel them to undergo vaccination.
Gusto ko lang po magdagdag ng parang tanong from his question. Parang ano na po yung inabot ng efforts ng Nila Pilipina at mga kasama doon sa international na pag-amplify nitong mga panawagan ng ating mga comfort women?
Marami nang naging efforts. There were even legal battles, diba, sa Japan, but all the cases were dismissed. So yung United Nations na lang at saka yung some such international mechanisms yung pag-asa natin. But then again, ang talagang laban dapat nasa home front eh. It's really up to the Philippine government to act on behalf of its citizens. But we can only solicit the support of the international community. We can only try to lobby with the United Nations for other member states to also echo the calls that we are making in terms of our calls for justice. But eventually, the struggle, the fight, the battle has to be launched within our own country by compelling the Philippine government to really stand up to fight for justice for our lolas.
Yeah, yun kasi lahat ng court action sa Tokyo District Court. Tapos 15 countries also filed a case sa US District Court, District of Columbia, to force Japan to pay the kasi meron yan when you commit abuses, you can be sued, but all the cases were dismissed. Then our own case dito sa Supreme Court was dismissed, pero ang sinabi naman dahil hindi nila kinikilala, but because it was a wrong venue, that they're the wrong place. Dapat kasi talaga, it has to be the executive. Ang ating executive, i-admit mo muna. But so far, 30 years since the issue surfaced, 1990, nag-umpisa yan, up to now, isang generation na. That's one whole generation. Nobody has accepted sa Philippines. Ilang pangulo na ang nakaraan, and no one dared to help. And even yung semblance man lang. Imagine how many Japanese shrines do we have to honor their dead soldiers? Di ba? Yung mga kamikaze soldiers nila sa Pampanga, meron silang shrine to honor them when they struck and killed innocent men, women, and children. Kaliraya, ang dami-daming, ang bait-bait talaga nating mga Pilipino, no? Yes, we can forgive them, but we cannot forget what they did, no? Imagine how many Japanese shrines did we allow them to put up, and our one and only Comfort Women statue put up in a private and public prison, but through private efforts. Tinanggal pa nila in the middle of the night. Imagine, pinabantayan namin yan. We asked the Manila Police to guard it because the mayor said no, he did not ask that it be dismantled kasi nagkaroon ng backhoe. So tinanong namin ng office of the mayor, bakit may backhoe, tatanggalin pa ninyo? They said no. I said this is a private initiative. There is a marker of the National Historical Commission. Nobody can just remove the statue. So we asked the Manila Police to guard it, and they did, no? For 3 days, ikot ng ikot ang patrol until middle of the night. Haping gabi, tinanggal nila. May naka-picture, I think about 11:30 in the evening, no? They are dismantling the Comfort Day on a Friday. There's nothing you can do to ask the court for an injunction because it was a Friday. So the next morning, it's gone. Wala na ang Comfort Women statue. So, I mean, it's so sad that the one and only thing to help us commemorate and honor the sacrifices that our women did, no, and the sufferings that they had, to at least acknowledge the sufferings, tinanggal pa. Tapos papayagan ng mga Japanese to put up their shrines for the soldiers who killed our people, who tortured our people, who raped our women. Nakakahiya, no? Kaya, that's why the Flowers for Lola's campaign was put up, the coalition of people, and we help one another to continue helping the Lolas. May mga medical mission pa tayo. Andiyan si Dr. Tan Sojong, no? Siya at anak niya talagang nag-medical mission. Sabi nga, nakakahiya tayo mga bata because the Lolas whose average age is 90, mas malakas pa kaya kaysa sa atin, ano? So we help provide them with rice, with some care packages, Chinese New Year or during Christmas last time, no? Nagbibigay tayo. Very little yung mga naitutulong natin sa kanila, no? Pero sana ang gobyerno natin, once and for all, magising man lang yung mga natitirang Comfort Women, help give them, provide them with health packages, no? To let them at least ease their lives, remaining years of their lives. Thank you po.
Gusto ko lang din po malaman, Cathy Cruz po of Katipunan Channel, may bilang po ba tayo ng mga surviving Comfort Women o naapektuhan po nung pagpasok po ng mga Hapon dito sa atin during that war?
Noong 1990s, when the Comfort Women campaign started in the Philippines, siguro close to 1,000 women actually came to the office of Gabriela at saka yung task force on Asian Women's Human Rights Council, AWHRC office at that time, no?
Under ano po yun? Yung task force na yun?
1993, 94, oo, mga ganun.
Anong agency po yun? Task force? Not the task force, yung Asian Women's Human Rights Council at saka Gabriela. Si Nelia Sancho, when this campaign started, was the Secretary General of Gabriela. And they attended the international conference in South Korea, where the first 3 South Korean Comfort Women came out. So close to about 1,000 women came or wrote letters or called up the office, etc. Pero dahil private effort siya, even at that time, we did not receive any support from the Philippine government. In fact, the Aquino government at that time tried to deny the validity of the Comfort Women narrative, ano? So out of those several hundreds, only about 174,
I think was documented by Villa Filipina and the Task Force on Filipino Comfort Women, which was created at the time to verify and document the stories of the women who came forward. Out of that 174, very few na lang, sorry I cannot disclose the exact number, but very few na lang yung mga survivors natin ngayon sa Pilipinas at saka sa South Korea. It's unfortunate that many of them passed away during this about 25 or 28 years na yata, no, since the campaign started. And none of them, at least the ones who died here in the Philippines, received any support until the time na namatay sila, no, from the Philippine government. So it's really a very, very sad situation for Filipino comfort women. Kaya siguro yung mga lola natin, in fact, hindi lang sila, kahit yung mga lola natin na hindi na masyadong physically active, when we visit them, talagang kwan pa rin sila, gusto nilang sumama. Kasi talagang gusto nilang ipaglaban pa rin yung issue nila, kaya lang may mga limitasyon na sila. Kaya nga siguro talagang sa kanila, kahit nga minsan si Lola Estelita, sinasabi niya, actually, sabi niya, hindi ko inaasahan na makukuha ko yung hustisya habang buhay pa ako. Pero ang importante lang sa akin, malaman dito ng mga kabataan, lalo na yung kabataan kababaihan, kasi para hindi na maulit kung ano yung mga naranasan namin.
Actually, pumasok lang po sa isip ko kasi kung yung mga war veterans po natin ay nakakatanggap po ng mga ayuda galing po sa mga benepisyo galing sa ating pamahalaan. Bakit po itong mga comfort women natin ay hindi man lang sila tignan at tulungan ng mga kung sino mang ahensya ng ating pamahalaan, 'di ba? So, meron po ba kayong perhaps position paper na isinumite sa tamang ahensya ng ating pamahalaan at anong ahensya po yun?
Marami na yan in the past eh. Even at the time when si President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo was newly installed president and she went to Japan, di ba, she actually nakipag-meeting sa inyo si President Macapagal-Arroyo, no, si GMA. Pero pagbalik niya, sabi niya, walang nangyari dun sa negotiations. And after that, she did not make herself available anymore to the women of Villa Filipina. Tapos, ganoon din naman nung panahon ni President Fidel V. Ramos, no? Merong silang mga parang urgings no, dun sa kay Presidente, pero yung mismong pamahalaan pa naman natin, no, yung nagsabi na, kasi that was the time when the Japanese Prime Minister nakalimutan ko yung pangalan, pero yung Japanese Prime Minister was issuing private letters of apology to the comfort women natin, ng Filipino comfort women. Pero yung ating mismong Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time and President Fidel V. Ramos himself ang nagsabi, there was no need for an apology. So, ganun ka, medyo, I think, sa part ng Japan talagang napakalaki ng resistance nila dun sa pag-acknowledge nitong issue na ito. Two counts, no? Sinasabi nila, isa, malakas to kasi talaga yung feudal patriarchal culture sa Japan. Malakas ang militarism and sa kanila. But I think the real question or the real problem is that when the Shinzo Abe government decided to revert back to the path of militarism, may mga efforts din sila, diba, to circumvent the peace clause in the Japanese constitution para makapag-engage sila ulit in war spending. I think that sort of provides the real reason why Japan does not really want to acknowledge this particular war crime. Kasi it will run contrary to their justification for the huge military spending that they have recently hiked, no? Medyo malaki, 51 billion US dollars na yata yung proposed na defense budget nila for 2023. So how can they do that and yet at the same time acknowledge that they did a lot of abuses during World War II? So contradictory yung dalawa na yun So I think that's the real reason why Japan does not want to And the problem is the Philippine government is really also kowtowing to the dictates of the Japanese government. Dun sa Japanese-US military alliance, ang third factor doon is the Philippines. In fact, dun sa national security strategy that Japan came up with for 2023, may sinasabi siyang transfer of defense technology. I suppose that means lahat ng mga equipments na hindi na nila gagamitin for their war ay ipagbibili sa Pilipinas, and that they will consider that as part of the official development assistance. That's really unfair. Kasi in the first place, yung official development assistance na yan, malaki dyan, utang, nababayaran din naman natin. Pangalawa, that's militarizing official development assistance. Instead of yung dati na ang record nila ay mas economic and technical assistance ang kanilang binibigay. Ngayon, it's really just to arm the Philippine military, the Philippine Armed Forces. Walang malinaw na benefit sa mamamayang Pilipino at lalong-lalo na dun sa mga naging individuals who became victims of war during World War II. A very sad situation for our country.
Additional lang, tanong ko kay Ma'am Teresita Angsi. We are on the crossroads right now. Ang sitwasyon ng ating bansa, no? Patungo ba tayo sa gera o patungo ba tayo sa kapayapaan at pagunlad? So, kung dahil kayo po ay leader ng Lila Filipina, ano po ang isinusulong ninyo para ang ating pamahalaan ay itulak ang move towards kapayapaan in terms of foreign policy?
Nasa constitution naman natin yun, no? That our country renounces war as an instrument of national policy. Huwag tayo magpapasulsol sa malalaking bansa na nag-aaway, na nagbabanggaan, at tayo ang mga langgam na tinatapak-tapakan nila habang sila ay nagbabanggaan at nagbabangayan, no? Yun na nga, yung paulit-ulit na sinasabi ni Lola Estelita, ni Lola Narcisa, no? War is never an answer to any conflict, no? Pag-usapan, diplomacy is still the best weapon. A handshake is always better than a fist fight. So, yan siguro ang paulit-ulit nating ibibigay na leksyon. Hindi makikipagyera ang Pilipinas, hindi manggagaling sa Pilipinas, kung hindi susugsugan ng ibang malalaking bansa na mag-away, na makipag-away tayo, no? Tayo talaga ang magiging bala sa kanyon ng paglaban, no? Kaya tayo mag-ingat tayo, no? I'm glad our constitution enshrines the fact that war is not will never be used as an instrument of national policy. Thank you.